So to kind of just continue on that note of cost efficiency and the value of life, we see it at the end of the book, and it's really good point because farmer they're spending $20,000 on this one patient, uh, and so they're kind of criticizing him, um, and then farmer he insists um, it's not the fault of PIH for spending too much money. It makes more sense to farmer to criticize the airplane company for charging so much for a medical flight, or the first world doctors who draw enormous salaries for providing those basic treatments. Um, and then so farmer just concludes that asking if PIH was in the wrong for spending $20,000 to save a person's life, he says is the wrong question. Um, the real uncomfortable issue he thinks is why cash for saving the lives of children is in such short supply if those kids are in poverty. Um, and so that's just, I think, a reality uh, that farmer just does not cope well with, and I think it should make kind of all of us uncomfortable that just because you're poor doesn't mean you can't have health care. We talked about it in class. Is health um, a basic human right? And I'd argue it is because I think this is a situation where, much like the AIDS in Africa, if you have the necessary treatments, you can send them. We saw earlier in the book, there farmer was many people had said these Haiti people weren't taking their medicine because voodoo rituals. They thought the pills were bad, and so they weren't taking their TB medicine. And farmer said, "Well, let me look into it." And he, after much research, found that it was more of an issue of extreme poverty. If he gave them food, if he gave them water, if he gave them like stuff to make taking the pills easy, then they would. The problem wasn't that they just couldn't fathom they could take these pills and still be right with their voodoo gods. No, it was that they had much bigger things to think about, like, what am I eating today? What am I drinking? Can I feed my family? Uh, and so when you take away those factors, it's much easier for someone to have on the front of their mind to take their pills every morning because they're not starving um, or dying of dehydration. And so farmer found that, and I think that's true for a lot of situations where where there's a perception that they won't take their pills. Um, I just think it's kind of bull because I think farmer kind of displayed that in this book of like when you actually get to the root of the problem, uh, it's typically not because people are incapable of doing common tasks like taking pills. They can usually handle that. And so